As the former chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, as ranking member of the Homeland Security Committee, certainly we see that this is an enemy which is overseas and it's here. It's an enemy which is plotting every day to find ways to attack us. I know later the distinguished ranking member of the Intelligence Committee will also speak to this part of the issue. But the fact is, we don't live in vacuums. We can't isolate battlefields in silos and say this is Iraq and this is Afghanistan and this is the Twin Towers. The fact is, we're talking about actions having consequences. And I'd be very critical of the Republican Party, my party, for 1983, when I believe we precipitously withdrew from Beirut. That had consequences. I was in this body when we precipitously withdrew from Somalia. I was also in this body when the Twin Towers were attacked for the first time in 1993, and we took no action. Or Cobalt Towers, when a constituent of mine was killed in 1996, and we took no action. The USS Cole in 2000, when we took no action. In 1998, the attacks on the African embassies, where we took very limited action. And all of those had consequences. In fact, now we see, after September 11, 2001, we find the historical record where Osama bin Laden said that when he saw that the United States was willing to withdraw from Somalia, how that emboldened Islamic terrorists throughout the world, how that showed them that we didn't have the staying power, we didn't have the guts to stick it out. And listen, those who are really putting it on the line, those who have the guts, are the men and women on the battlefield in Iraq and Afghanistan. But also we as elected officials have to show some courage and not just give in to the zeitgeist, not just give in to the latest public opinion poll or to the latest election. Because quite frankly, we weren't elected just to win elections. We're elected to show leadership and to do what has to be done. And when future generations look back at this, will they really say that we helped the struggle against Islamic terrorism by pulling out of Iraq, by not continuing that fight? Does anyone really think that that won't embolden al-Qaeda, that will not embolden Iran? Can anyone honestly say that? And so I believe that what disappoints me about this debate and this resolution is we're treating Iraq almost like as a pinpoint. It's one issue standing by itself, and it's not. It's part of a mosaic. It's part of a worldwide struggle. And as someone who lost more than 100 friends, neighbors, constituents on September 11th, I've seen firsthand the evils of Islamic terrorism. As a ranking member on the Homeland Security Committee, I know how there are forces in this country who would take action against us. I know the connections between forces in this country and forces overseas. It's no secret. It shouldn't cause us any confusion as to why al-Qaeda wants us to lose in Iraq. It shouldn't cause us any confusion as to why al-Qaeda encourages the enemy against us in Iraq. In fact, has al-Qaeda in Iraq itself fighting against us. And so now we come to the question of, with our troops committed there, with this being an absolutely essential part of the war against terrorism, what do we do? I agree that there is a consensus that the current policy has not been successful. There have been successes, but the policy itself has not been fully successful. And that's true in almost every war in which America has been engaged. It was certainly true during World War II. It was certainly true during Korea. And even take a war like Kosovo, which is probably almost as antiseptic as a war could be, even though every war, when anyone's life is on the line, is brutal and deadly. But from a strategic point of view, we're talking about what should have been a simple war. We ended up bombing a Chinese embassy in Belgrade. So, I mean, mistakes are made. And for us to say because mistakes are made, we should redeploy our troops, which really is a euphemism for withdrawal. And what we should be doing today is, if General Petraeus, and again, we're sending signals to the world. We're sending signals to our troops. We're sending signals to our allies. We're sending signals to our enemies. On the one hand, if we are unanimously confirming General Petraeus, who supports this policy, and on the other hand, we're saying we know the policy can't work, and we're actually going, for the first time in American history, go on record opposing a particular strategic policy, then I'd say, where are we getting this from? People say this is not the same policy, this is just the same policy as we've had all along. General Petraeus says it's not, and I don't believe it is. And again, can I guarantee the new policy will work? No, I can't. But I have met with generals, I have met with military experts, and they give good reasons why it can work. And there's people of very good faith on the other side will say it will not work. But as I look at this, if our commander, who is looked upon as the expert in counterinsurgency, who is the general who certainly has achieved the most in Iraq, and anyone who's been to Mosul knows the job that he achieved there, if he says this policy should work and can work, then I believe we have the moral obligation, we have the legal obligation, and we have the obligation to history and for our children and grandchildren that we not undercut General Petraeus, that we not tell our troops we don't have faith in their ability to carry out the mission which General Petraeus says can be carried out, and we don't embolden our enemies by saying just wait this out a few months. Wait it out a few months and you'll get us. Wait us out a few months and we'll pull out like we did from Beirut or like we did from Somalia. We cannot allow that message to be sent. The burden is on us, and if we fail in this mission, and the mission, I believe, of standing with our troops, standing with our commander in the field, and standing with the policy that the overwhelming majority of Congress voted for in 2003, and also the pledge that all of us made on September 11, 2001, that we will have failed in our obligations of members of the United States Congress and failed in our obligation to our oath of office to do what has to be done and what should be done, and which is essential if we are going to win the war against Islamic terrorism. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.